Okay, welcome Coffee Roasting Live. I am going to get this started here real quick and then we'll talk about everything. Got 2 pounds of coffee. Just going to dump these right in, get it ready. So I know I always say this, but I'm going to try to do a really quick roast today. It's 2 pounds, and I'm definitely going to try to make sure I get the temperature going here. Okay, everything's going. All right, so I got a new thermometer and now I realize that the screen display is terrible. I can't even get it to show up on the screen. I have it pointed at it. I don't know. I looked at it inside, I think with the sun and everything out here. I mean, I don't even think that that helps so that you could see it, but it is brand new. It's got 2 probes. I've got a probe and a wire probe. The wire probe is actually sitting in the beans and the metal probe is just sticking out. And I don't really know how well the metal probe is going to work. I have it in there. I think it's actually going to probably melt. I think I'm just going to take it out and leave the wire probe in there and hope that the wire probe stays. Temperature is important, so we're just going to go ahead and monitor that. I'm going to turn this up some more just to make sure that it's going, make sure everything's going pretty quick. Looks like things are rising pretty good. Okay, let's take a look at what we're roasting here. Okay, so I got some Guatemala. This one has this says tart fruits at a light roast, crisp finish, full city, develops bitter sweets, chocolates accompanied by dark fruit. So that's for like a medium. And then this one here is going to be Brazil. This is sugar, honey nut. Let's see what else it says on here. Multigrain, sesame cookie, almond milk, cocoa, and looks like for medium as well. So these both, you know, kind of have a little fruity, sweet, chocolatey kind of flavor to them. Again, I just grabbed them out of the box. Actually out of my bin where I keep them. I keep everything in my cabinet above my refrigerator, nice and dark and cool. I keep all my supplies there. It just keeps everything out of the way. And like I said, on the thermometer, you know, I've been having problems with my thermometer. I don't know that this is going to fix it. I hope so. It's showing we're at 174 right now. Looks like temperature's rising pretty quick. I do have it pretty warm. I'm only doing 1 batch today, 1 batch at 2 pounds. I got my camera set up a little bit differently today. I think I've pretty much fixed my echoing problem. We shouldn't have this in this here. Again, I rushed and put this thing together in a quick, 20 minutes to get everything going. Just because I got some other things going on. Like always, like everybody's busy, everybody's got things to do. So I take an extra 20 minutes to set up all the cameras and get everything going here for you so we can kind of show you how we do this at home. It's a great hobby. It's only going to take about 20 minutes. And hopefully even quicker with everything cranked up the way I have it cranked up. Temperature still rising at 215. I'm just going to give you check-ins on it because I don't know that you can actually see the thermometer on the camera. Like I said, I tried to get it in view, but it's brand new. I never used it before, so we're just going to have to play that one by ear. I have my fan here, Cyclone fan with my 2 colanders. This is what we're going to use at the end to dechafe and cool the beans. I have 2 colanders. I use 1 for each pound because 2 pounds in one of these colanders is just too much. So I use the 2 colanders to break it in two pieces. As far as my roaster goes, this is a drum roaster. They're about $130 or so on Amazon. Do a search on Amazon for coffee roasters and a bunch of these will pop up. There's so many different sellers on this that you'll have no problem finding it. They're all pretty much the same. I haven't seen any differences or noticed any differences in any of the different sellers that have these roasters. I've been using this now for, what has it been, about 6 months? I got it last year. I think I got it in like July of last year. I can't remember. I had basically melted my other basket roaster, which was a cheaper type of roaster. You'll see the basket roasters on Amazon too. They're about $80, $90, but they only hold a pound. And I feel like those roasters with the baskets roasted a little bit more unevenly and inconsistent. On top of that, like I said, I basically melted mine after a while. Just the amount of heat pumping through that thing, which just got a little bit too much for it. So it kind of melted on me because one of the side posts was plastic. So we're at 266 right now. Not quite sure why the temperature's going down, unless this is coming out. I'm not sure. So some of the key things about roasting coffee at home. This is basically all you need. You need a propane burner. This is a turkey fryer type burner that I use here. And it is actually the high output BTU burner. It's got a red knob on it, which makes it so that it pumps out a higher BTU than the normal standard and I'm just trying to adjust my flame here, make sure it's kicking okay. Now, I'm not sure if I like this thermometer very well. Let me stick this other one back in here and see what's going to happen. I'm afraid this probe's going to melt though. It's got a lot of plastic on it. So like I was saying, with the higher BTU burner, it just puts out a more intense flame, hotter flame. Good for, like I said, with turkey fryer and things like that. The other burners that come with a black knob on them are a lower pressure. They don't put out as much BTU. Doesn't mean it's not going to work. It's going to work. It'll be fine, but the flame that comes out of it is just not as intense or as hot as the higher BTU, high pressure one. About $80, $85 on Amazon for one of these burners. And then I just have a propane tank that I do the propane exchange on. I think I'm doing it at Home Depot right now. The good thing about that is you can just take it over there, swap it out, and get a brand new tank. I like that. I used to go to a filling station and get it filled up. But I've just kind of found that yeah, it's getting too hot. I've kind of found that going to the station and filling it up is just more of a hassle. Because you got to wait for an attendant and they got to do their thing and all that kind of stuff. And the next thing you know, you've been there for 20 minutes waiting to get propane, and it's just kind of a pain. So I've diverted to doing this. Yeah, so I can tell already that this thermometer is not going to work for me. It's already out of control. It's jumping all over the place. I don't know if the probe's in there too far. I'm not quite sure what's going on with it. Yeah, and I also noticed this is not insulated with, this is insulated with plastic, so that's basically going to melt. So yeah, this is not going to work. I'm going to yank that out of there. I should have thought about that. I'm going to have to order a new one. I'll see how well I can get this one probe working. So since I've been doing this for a while, I already know what I'm looking for in the roast and things like that. So the thermometer's not that much of importance to me. It is a K-type thermometer, and it's best to have one where the wire is insulated with the, I don't know what the fabric's called, but it's insulated with flame-resistant fabric. And it protects this wire here. This one is definitely not going to cut it, as far as it's going to melt. I should have thought about that when I bought it. So Sweet Maria's, where I get my coffee beans, they have the right one. I'm just going to have to go there and order it. I ordered this off of Amazon for like, I don't know, $15, and it was pretty much a waste of $15. I had actually ordered a different one that ended up being just in Celsius, and I don't even know how to convert to Celsius. So I was like, I'm not even going to deal with that. I figured, I could write the numbers down and know what they are, but I don't even want to deal with that. So I'm not using that one either. So I basically wasted about $30 in two different thermometers that aren't going to work for me. Okay, temperature says we're at 369, 370, so I'm going to monitor this a little closer. I'm going to turn my burner down just a little bit, and I can see by the glass window here that I have on my roaster that the beans are definitely starting to get some color to it. And I tried to make it so you can see that with the camera view. I don't know how well you can see that. Yeah, my thermometer is... That's what I get for buying cheap stuff. The thermometer is pretty much melting because it's plastic on that probe, so you can't leave it in there. And that's what I was talking about with some of the other thermometers. It is pretty instant read though. So we're gonna go by sight and sound. I was hoping to have a great new thermometer, but I'm gonna go back to the drawing board on that one. So what we're listening for is we're listening for the beans to start cracking, kind of like popcorn. It's going to start popping, and it's called cracking because what's happening is the water vapor in the beans is expanding and causing the bean to expand and crack open. It's not like a visible crack, but it's just that burning process of the vapor, the moisture that's in the bean. And I can see here in the window that we're definitely starting to get some more color on this now. So I'm just going to play this by ear, and I know the sound that I'm listening for. I'm going to listen for a really rapid cracking to start happening. This is basically the first crack that we're at right here. There's going to be a second crack where it gets a little bit more intense. I'll go ahead and put the microphone up. Okay, so with that intensity of cracking, I still got just a couple more minutes to go, but basically once it gets to this first crack, it's gonna go quick. Everything's gonna start happening really fast. I can smell the coffee getting a much more deep flavor. The smoke intensity is gonna intensify coming out of the actual roaster. So I'm just gonna be watching and waiting for the color that I'm looking for at this point, since my thermometers aren't doing it for me. Basically, with the temperature, I'd be looking at about a 430 to 435. That's kind of the temperature that I like to go for a nice medium to medium dark roast. And the bean color is definitely right around that medium, getting just a little bit darker here. So I'm just watching it to see, and I'm listening for the cracking. I don't want the cracking to get too intense because that's going to kind of show that it's getting too dark. Because basically a 450 to 455 temperature is more of a darker roast. So there's a really small window of temperature that you're looking for. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this thing down. I'm gonna let it continue to roast. And now we're getting that more intense cracking sound, which is gonna stop. I'm gonna hear that over the motor. The motor's so loud. The smoke is definitely intensifying here. So get my gloves on. And with the heat off, it's just kind of doing a residual. Using that residual heat in there to just kind of keep it going there. Putting my thicker gloves on. Get this off here. Take this over, dump it in my basket. Burner's off, everything's off. Just gonna try to do a quick cool down. So this is the worst part, doing the de-chafing. So now what we're gonna get is we're gonna get a lot of the chafe out of the beans, which is basically the skin that dries as you're roasting off of the coffee bean. And we're also cooling at the same time here with the fan. The fan basically is just kind of helping us so we can get the chafe to blow outward. And so this is just going to be the final process, and then what we're going to do is once we get these beans to cool down, we'll basically let these sit for 24 hours and do what's called a decarb. It's just kind of release all the gas from the roast out of the beans. And so you generally want to wait 24 hours before you actually start doing a coffee with this. I've never had too much problem doing it in under 24 hours. Most of the time mine sits out for a couple of days until I use it and drink it. But I think we're actually out right now, so we'll be drinking this tomorrow. Now I still have the espresso roast that I did for my espresso shots that I make in the morning. So I mean, I could use that. It's a much darker roast than what we have here. I'm gonna move this. A lot of chafe in this. So some of the beans, depending on their drying process, tend to have more chafe than others. And it's just kind of what I've noticed over time. Sometimes there's a lot less chafe that comes out, and sometimes there's a lot more. And I definitely feel like this has got a lot of chafe in it. I think I pretty much got it now. So, little finished result there, finished product. I'm going to show you in this camera over here, see if we can't get it to, oh, I got to get my shadow out of the way there. So that's a nice little medium roast there, nothing too dark. And like I said, it took about 20 minutes. Check my watch here. Yeah, it took exactly 20 minutes for the whole process here. And like I said, I did do it with my flame just a little bit higher. If you take your time and do it a little slower, you can get a little different flavor profile out of your bean. You know, you can actually mess with the temperatures, and you can, you know, put a fan on it to add more air. All these different things that you do while in the roasting process, you know, are going to tend to change the flavor characteristic of the bean. And, you know, if you're buying the same type of bean, I buy a sample pack, so I get different types of beans every time. So it's hard for me to you know, mess with it. We drink so much coffee that and I don't even really care. I've just noticed that every time I roast coffee, you know, I get a really great flavor. This process is just really fun and nice to do. But if you wanted to really get into different flavors and techniques and things like that, you know, you're going to want to try to do, you know, let it get up to 200 degrees. Turn your flame down. Let it kind of stew there at 200 for a couple of minutes. Turn temperature back up. Let it continue to roast and get warmer. You could put your fan on it, introduce more air into the roast, and that's going to, you know, also give you a better flavor profile. And then mess with your darknesses, you know, your you know, temperatures. You know, try one at 425, try one at 435, try one at 445. You know, take some notes if you're really interested in trying to figure out some flavor profiles. Because I do two different types of beans. One was Brazil, I believe it was, and one was Guatemala. You get different, you know, you get a blend. If you buy just the same type of bean, of course, it's going to be, you know, just the one bean. And then it's going to be a little bit easier to determine the flavor differences from the different temperatures and adding air and saying, you know, putting your fan, you know, on your roaster while it's turning. Now, of course, this is also going to affect your flame. So that's going to make it a little different. Make sure you don't put your flame out. Anyways, that's my process. I just wanted to share that with everybody. I do coffee roasting every 2 weeks. And once May comes around, I'm probably going to do a cold brew and show everybody how to make your own cold brew. You know, learning how to make your own coffee drinks, I think, is something that everybody should learn to do. Get a good, nice, good espresso maker to make shots. And, you know, you can buy your flavors to do your different flavors and all that with your coffee drink, depending upon what you like. You know, whether it's a macchiato or I don't even know the drinks because I don't drink any of that stuff. I don't support Starbucks. I don't support any of the coffee stores because it's just too expensive now. And I don't want to wait in line. It's just too much time to wait in line, you know, 4 or 5 people to get a coffee drink. I just feel like sitting in line waiting for a coffee is just a big waste of my time. So that's why I started doing this and making my own coffee at home. And like I say, I like my coffee with a couple shots of espresso in it and just straight coffee. I don't really care for the drinks and all that kind of stuff. And when I make my cold brew, I do cold brew and I do some sugar-free peanut butter flavor. And man, that's my cold brew drink in the summertime. And I'm gonna go ahead and do that again this year. I think it's about 4 gallons that I make at a time. Because it's basically just like making tea. And I'll show you that process and how you can do it, the minimal money you need to spend on getting it, and then, you know, storing it and all that sort of stuff. So anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you learned a little something out of this and maybe piqued your interest into looking into doing your own coffee roasting at home. Yeah, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Have a great one.